Good morning. My name is Mary Klein. I am a licensed practitioner here at Center for Spiritual Living, St. George. Each week, before our broadcasted service, we do a sitting meditation. Meditation is one of my favorites. Good morning. My name is Mary Klein. I am a licensed practitioner here at Center for Spiritual Living, St. George. Each week, before our broadcasted service, we do a sitting meditation. Meditation is one of my favorite spiritual practices. So if you're comfortable, please close your eyes. So it is that we close our outer eyes to see with the light within. So now concentrate on the breath throughout this meditation. Take a nice, slow, deep breath in, breathing in the joy and happiness of this season. Now exhale all the stress of this post-Christmas time. I will guide this meditation for the first few minutes. Then there will be silence, except for the music, and then I will do a closing. I wish you a very special holiday season, and I will share some thoughts about what this season is truly about. Let's take a few moments to step back out of the craziness that comes along with this season and reflect on what it really means to enter into this holy time that has been so significant to humanity for so very long. This time of celebrating, remembering, reflecting on the incarnation of spirit in matter. Deeply religious people know the birth of Christ means that all humanity is a carrier of the divine. We enter into the magic of the Christmas season, into those childhood memories, and to the goodness that comes from each of us as we truly become part of Christmas. What we are experiencing is the knowledge that we are not alone, that the daily grind of life as we live it is not all that there is. There is a deep, wandering, magical, and mysterious time, a deep beauty of who we are and why we are here. In early Christianity, the idea of Christ's incarnation meant that God became a human being so that human beings could enter into God's reality to become godlike. The magic of the I am, knowing that we are one with the divine. This is truly magical. It is a celebration of our true potential to awaken to that consciousness of who we really are. Not our social security number, not a product of our environment, not a product of what has been done to us, not the pain of everyday life, but spiritual beings living in matter. Christ awakens this in us. You are a spiritual being reincarnated in matter, and our mortality is not the whole story. There is a wonder before, during, and after. So as we reflect on this glorious peace and beauty of this season, let it enter into your heart that it is about you as well, your potential to be conscious of God each moment of your life, to be a person of peace and goodwill, to be protected and loved by a greater power, to be lifted up out of your daily hardships, fears, and concerns, to live in the bliss of knowing you are God's and that God seeks you now, especially in these holy moments of Christmas. Now we will enter a brief silence to reflect on the true meaning of this season, acknowledging the Christ consciousness in our lives. Continue to concentrate on your breath during this silence.
There's a treasure map hidden in the depth of There's a treasure map hidden in the depth of your soul.
If you find that map and you take that path, it will lead you to the golden heart of hearts,
Overflowing
with knowing and bliss.
if you get that far.
Just keep going, remembering this. Do what your heart says you should do. It's the most precious part of you. That's where the answers come, when your thoughts are calm and you're searching for the truth. Do what your heart says.
And when the ones you trust to be fair and just turn on you,
And you're all alone in the great unknown, and you don't know what you should do.
find your heart of hearts overflowing
With knowing and play.
if you get that far.
Just keep going, remembering this. Do what your heart says you should do.
It's the most precious part of you.
That's where the answers come, when your thoughts are calm and you're searching for the truth. Do what your heart says.
Good morning and welcome to CSL St. George. We are an open, loving, and inclusive community that supports thinking creatively and living a deeply spiritual life. My name is Gwen Hadley. This is the last Sunday of December, and so we continue with our monthly theme, celebrating divine truth. And this week's focus will be making magic. I don't know about any of you, but after almost ushering out 2020, I could use a little magic. So let me tell you who we have here. Mary Klein, who led us into meditation, will also offer the invocation. We have the talented Cheryl Barlow, who will sing and do everything musical that she does. Starlet, our licensed practitioner, will invoke our sacred covenant as we still search for that perfect minister. Chris McCardle is behind the scenes, bringing you this wonderful broadcast. And we're really fortunate to have a special guest, Stef Swink. She's a licensed spiritual practitioner, and I will introduce more about her as she begins her talk. So with that, Cheryl, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Gwen, and good morning, everyone. I am so grateful to be here as well on this post-Christmas, post-solstice, Kwanzaa, all the holidays that we celebrate in December. And the end of quite a year, right, kids? When our muddled minds and our hurried hearts resist the path of a brand new start, hear the voice of God take the pace of earth. Under dormant life lies in wait, new birth. And every moment needs the one before, each new step dependent on the past. Building, growing, needing, knowing, seasons turning into faith at last. I'm going to welcome back Mary Klein, and she will do our invocation this morning. Welcome, Mary.
Good morning. I'm going to ask all to sit quietly. Just kind of close your eyes if you're comfortable. and know all that is making itself known is God. All that ever exists is God. All that ever fulfills itself is God. Everything in the universe comes into being through the activity of the mind of God, and God is never late, hindered, or incomplete. That which is God is the fullness and the allness and the completeness and the wholeness. God is the everlasting demonstration of love. I know that I am one of God, one in God, one as God. My life is the culmination of every good thing right now. Each and every activity that takes place in my life is the life of God demonstrating its love by means of me. The fullness of God, the allness of God is who and what I am. All that I am is the activity and the demonstration of the mind of God. This oneness is all good and is my good now. I realize the very presence of God in my life. Everything in my life is orchestrated through the activity of love demonstrated as the perfect and right time in the perfect and right way. All that I seek is already right where I am, and I do not have to earn it, to create it, or to try to manipulate it into being. It is. I am. I am in the full and complete realization of those things which I endeavor to achieve, recognizing that as I surrender control, release and let go all over things and events become the perfect expression of God. I will surrender my control for the perfection of spirit within me to arrive and perform according to its good works. Therefore, everything in my life now allows me to take that next step in life. I am so ready. I am so willing. I am so filled with inspiration. I am so motivated. God in me is alive. I sense the very activity of the mind of God in me, directing me towards the next steps in life this New Year's. I joyously place my heart into this awareness. I live in joy. I celebrate progress. I am anchored in this truth and I do not waver. I thank you, God, for the ability to take the next step in life this coming year. And so I bless this gathering, knowing that release and let go are the foundation of everything that transpires today. We are fully open to practitioner Stef Swink's message today, to Cheryl's message through her music, and we are receptive to knowledge from Source and each other today. And so let us say, and so it is.
So it is. The next verse and chorus will be on the screen if you want to sing along, read along, and just affirm these words with me. When our eyes can't see what's around the bend, and our senses fear just a cold dead end, rest in spirit's truth, let it be your guide. Change is just the place where strength and hope collide. And every moment needs the one before, each new step dependent on the past. Building, growing, needing, knowing, seasons turning into faith at last. Yes, every moment needs the one before, each new step dependent on the past. Building, growing, needing, knowing, seasons turning into faith at last. I'm pleased to invite Star to join us and to do our Sacred Covenant, Sacred Reading today. Good morning, Star.
Good morning. It's so wonderful to be here. Such a beautiful message so far today. I've just so enjoyed it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and read the Sacred Covenant. And I invite you to join me and just kind of feel into this, because there is only that one mind and that one life. And that life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life, I know that I am one with all its blessed expressions, which include the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to express God, I therefore know that my new minister reveals wholeness. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which we believe, for it is written. Let us learn to draw the divine substance down into our own lives, and as freely as it is given to us, let us give it to others. Thus alone shall we be made whole. Ernest Holmes. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as growing the center in joy and prosperity. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing the truth about myself. For I live the presence and the law of God. I demonstrate wisdom through a mature understanding of the wholeness of life. I am accountable and willing to take full responsibility for my actions. I participate in and support the nurturance and guidance of the community. I act from wholeness and congruence in thought, word, and action. I walk the talk. I embrace. Now express your personal truth here. And now accept the highest expression of my new minister into life, knowing that they are revealed in a way that expresses God and serves the highest and greatest good for all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful. And please join me. And so it is.
So it is. Amen. So as Gwen mentioned, December we have been, our theme has been celebrating divine truth, and today we are focusing on making magic. Magic, right? Did you know that you could make magic? Because you can. Ernest Holmes reminds us that every longing and yearning you have ever had, every secret desire of your soul, every constructive ambition you have had is a whispering of this thing called life, assuring you that you are one with it. Hunter S. Thompson, he sort of took this to the extreme, saying life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, "Wow, what a ride." And I love that quote. It definitely inspires me when I feel like I'm holding back. And this song by Jimmy Scott and Janice Seinfeld just also encourages me. What would I do if I were brave? What would I do if I knew I could not fail? If I believed would the wind always fill up my sail? How far would I go? What could I achieve? Trusting the hero in me. If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I What if we're all meant to do what we secretly dream? What would you ask if you knew you could have anything? Like the mighty oak sleeps in the heart of a seed, is there magic inside you and me? If I were brave, I'd walk the razor's edge, where fools and dreamers dare to tread. If I'd never lose faith, even when losing my way. What step would I take today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? What would I do today if I were brave? If I were brave. What'd you do today? Back to you,
Beautiful.
Gwen.
Beautiful, Cheryl. So, as I stated earlier, I have the profound pleasure of introducing our special speaker today, Stef Swink. She is a licensed spiritual practitioner for over 20 years. She has roots with the personal assistant, ghostwriter, and protege to the author, New Thought pioneer Louise Hay. And she writes in our wonderful Science of Mind magazine every week. Can't see that very well. So it is again my great pleasure to welcome Stef. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for showing that the magazine. What a blessing it is. And I know that's how we found each other and how I came here to be with all of you today. So thank you, Gwen. Thank you, the whole team. What a great community. As soon as we came on to the screen together, I could feel the love. So I'm deeply grateful to be with you all. I had the choice of which Sunday I wanted to choose to be with all of you and share a message. And it was really obvious to me that based on my love of very conscious completions and intentional creation, that being with all of you on the last Sunday of this very interesting year would be a good choice. So I'm just delighted to connect with all of you. And so pleasure to meet all of you who I haven't met before, and hello and love to all of my friends, clients, and family who've joined in to be a part of this today. So I love the title of today's talk, Making Magic. And of course, one of the things I love to do whenever I have an opportunity to speak is to explore the power of words. And anybody who knows me knows, of course, I had to look up the definition of the word magic. So initially, prior to doing that, I was thinking about my own interpretation of that word and how easily it falls into this category of magic, like impossibility, something that is more in the realm of fantasy. So I was very surprised and delighted to come across this definition. So I'm going to share it with you. Magic is defined as the power to influence the course of events. The power to influence the course of events. And so making magic is something that is inherently born into each and every one of us. And one of the things that brings so many people into a deeper study of this particular philosophy of science of mind and spirit is the realization that through our consciousness, through the power of our choice, our focus, and our intentions, that we can actually influence the course of events. So whether we are aware of it or not, we are actually making magic all the time. So the yay about that is that we can consciously choose to direct our thinking, our attention, and our intention about what we want to create and influence, and realize a result, a changed result. The challenge about that is that we are doing that all of the time, whether we are aware of it or not. So has there ever been a time universally like this year that we have been challenged with what I call oftentimes like I don't want to use this word, but it's kind of fits. The plague of consciousness is a belief in victimhood and powerlessness. And this year of 2020 has given us universally an infinite number of opportunities to experience that, to feel like we are powerless. Being told that the way to be safe and to not risk our own health and the health of others is to stay home, to change our whole pattern. We didn't feel, at least I will speak for myself, oftentimes did not feel that I had my own personal power available to me. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. And so making magic is something that I really want to bring into the forefront of our awareness today together, because as we complete 2020, when we're going to do a little process later together to really consciously do that, as we complete it and let go and leave behind what we do not want to take with us into the new year, we do so with this awareness that we have that power, that magic wand, so to speak, within us to change the circumstances of our lives, even if the outer circumstances maybe aren't changing as fast as we would like them to. So one of the things that I want to go back to here for a moment is that kind of universal belief in and feeling of powerlessness and victimhood. It has been a part of human consciousness for millennia. And as I was preparing for this talk, a couple of downloads came to me. And one of them was that line from the very famous quote by Marianne Williamson, that it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And when I sat with that, I thought, we have moved into a period of darkness culturally and all throughout humanity in this year, through the pandemic, through the racial issues that have surfaced, through all of the intensification of that feeling of powerlessness. What happens, I believe, in our evolution is that something that has become unworkable intensifies. And so has this year not done that for us? So all of the things that we have sort of been okay with or not fully addressed or just allowed to be, even though they weren't really working for us, they have intensified. And so the beauty of that is that through that intensification, we cannot turn away from it, at least not successfully for very long. And so that which hasn't been working, that which does not serve our conscious evolution, intensifies. So we look at it and then essentially wield our magic wand of our consciousness, if we so choose, and decide something new. So that quote about our light most frightening us, I think that maybe that's changing now. And maybe we've had such an intense experience of darkness and aloneness and fear and uncertainty that perhaps the light in us now is something that we are more fully ready to embrace. So making magic is something I want to encourage each and every one of us to consider, that we as individuals and as a collective, of course, but as individuals, we have this choice to choose differently, even if we are feeling sequestered or frustrated. I'm thinking about some of the clients that I've been working with for some time, and several of them are single and they live alone, and this pandemic has definitely intensified some of those old false beliefs that are no longer working. And so will we choose and get support in the process, by the way? I highly recommend that. To work with a counselor, a practitioner, a mentor, to work through and unravel and untangle ourselves from those beliefs that we're powerless, that we can't change, that we cannot have and live in a world that we desire. So Again, another thing that moved through me while I was preparing for this talk, in kind of an annoying way, actually, was a song lyric. I have this tendency to have a song play on repeat in my head to the point where it makes me a little crazy. But yesterday, as I was just putting the final touches on what I wanted to share with you, a song called Lifeguard by one of my favorite artists. His name is Nako. His band is Nako and Medicine for the People. In the song Lifeguard, there's a lyric that says, where is it? We ought to take things far more personal. We ought to take things far more personal. What do we stand for? And is it salvageable? And so my love for humanity and all expressions of life has me recognizing that that lyric was pressing me to bring into this conversation with you today the realization that we ought to take things far more personal. You know, the tendency to be about me, myself, and mine, my family, or my small circle. That tendency, that is a survival tendency in essence, is also one of those things that I believe that we are outgrowing. And if we are wanting to turn the tide on the way things are going, both politically, environmentally, socially, then we need to expand. We need to expand our thinking, our consideration, our power, and our magic into the broader circle, into the larger community, into humanity and life as a whole. And I realize this may seem lofty, like, you know, for so many, there's challenges, especially intensified through this time of 2020, where survival has become all that we can focus on. And I wasn't sure I was going to move into this, but I will, because it was potent and it still is. This holiday season really brought to mind in such clarity my own personal journey of 2020 that was incredibly intensified by the fact that shortly after COVID revealed itself here in this country and in the world, I was on a hike with my dog, and I came home just jubilant and happy just to have the opportunity to be outside. And I walked in and my husband greeted me with a strange slur and a drooping face. He had had a stroke. And that was the beginning of what turned out to be a 46-day hospital stay for him. And for over half of that time, the reason that he continued to have strokes, small strokes, eluded all of the doctors and the incredible medical personnel. They could not figure it out. Once they finally did, it was revealed that there was an infection in his heart. And immediately, as in within hours of discovery of that, he had open heart surgery. And his heart was, it was a mess. And it was repaired. And this Christmas and this season, as we move to the end of this year, he and I have been speaking quite a bit together about the miracle, the absolute miracle, that he not only survived that, all those 6 weeks, every single day, it was a question of whether or not he was going to live or be debilitated. And he not only survived it, but he's thriving. He's back to work. He's happy. He's healthy. And it's miraculous. And one of the tools that we both acknowledge, one of those ways that we wield that magic wand of our consciousness in our life, was that during that time when I was in absolute survival mode as his mate and barely left the hospital, I knew that the power of prayer was something that I could lean on in the hearts and the minds and the consciousness of my community. Because in that survival mode, as so many people have likely experienced, many of you who are listening to this talk right now have your own version of survival and uncertainty in this year of 2020. And so what I did, because I was in that mode of just barely keeping my head above water, I leaned into those who support us, those who love us. And that prayer, that power of prayer and the intensity of the love that came our way, I am certain made a huge difference. And so what I also want to acknowledge, however, is that I know that not every story like mine has a happy ending. Actually, that experience with my beloved husband was not the first time that I spent many days in the hospital with somebody I love. My first husband actually passed away from cancer 13 years ago. And even though the outcome of that health challenge was not what we would have chosen it to be, there were miracles, there was healing, and there was a consciousness rising through that continues in my life. And so what I'd like to do with each one of you now is to take an opportunity to consciously complete 2020. And to do this in a way that supports this power of choice and this power of magic that we have in our consciousness and in our attention. And to turn towards that thing or those things that have been the most challenging this year. To not turn away from them. Believe me, I know that we are more than ready to be done with this year. We are more than ready to call it complete, to move on into the next thing. But in order to do so with the power that we have to fully embrace and make magic in the new year, I believe that we need to consciously complete and look at 2020. So what I'd like to do together with you now, if you join with me in this little process, is I'm going to take us through a little closed-eye experience here for a moment. And so let's just begin that. So what I'd like you to do is just take a moment and just let your eyes fall. Let your breath be full. And allow your attention just gently, with tenderness, with kindness, with softness. Allow your attention to scroll you back through this year. And allow it to land on either a particular situation or perhaps just an overall intensified feeling that rises up for you is the one I want you to allow your attention to rest on. There isn't anything that you need to do as you notice this, as you look at this, as you give this challenge, this difficulty, your attention. And know that as you do this, as you give it the attention that it's calling for, the opportunity that is here now is for the gift within it to either clearly or to just simply begin to reveal itself to you. So simply ask, turn that wand, that magic wand of your attention to that challenge and ask if it's ready and willing to reveal something of a gift that has come out of it. And now, whether or not anything clearly revealed itself to you, I recognize that your willingness to simply look at it has begun that process. Just keeping your eyes closed now, I'd like for you to wield that power to acknowledge an energy, an experience, or a belief that you are very consciously choosing not to take with you into the new year. You could simply say to yourself, I am leaving behind in 2020, and fill in the blank. All right, one more piece of this before we open our eyes and come back together. Looking ahead, allow now the experience of that inner wisdom within you that is connected to the source of all life and to every expression of life. Allow it to bring into your awareness the energy, the presence, the feeling, and one particular word that emphasizes, that captures the essence of what you intend to experience in the coming year. Allow that word, your word for 2021, to fill your awareness. Trust whatever comes. And when you are ready, I'll ask you to just gently allow your eyes to come open, come back together. So thank you for being willing to do that with me. You know, mine that revealed itself for 2021 is the word joy. And joy for me is goes beyond happiness. Happiness is wonderful, but it's also fleeting and often so connected to circumstances. Joy is a deep inner feeling for me. And although I, like all of us, am not certain of what 2021 will hold, I recognize that that experience and energy of joy is something that my attention is going to rest on and what I'm going to continue to be open to no matter what. And so whatever yours is, even if it didn't clearly reveal itself to you, know that it will in time, and that your attention is the power of magic to influence the course of events. And so before I go into prayer, I felt inclined just to share just a little bit more lyric from that particular song by Nako for your consideration, and then we're going to pray together. So what he says in this song, Lifeguard, is, I hold my breath for humanity's sake, for the way we hold the space, for every color, every race, and political taste. The world is about to shift again, and we will never be the same. And so I just want to thank you once again for sharing your time with me today, just sending incredible blessings of love and compassion and kindness your way, knowing that that energy is what we are lifting up to our collective agreement, not only for ourselves as individuals and our family, but for humanity and life as a whole. So let's take a moment here and move into prayer. Deep breath. I love that even though I only see my own face on this screen, there are so many beloveds that I'm sharing this space with and this breath. And so just moving into prayer at the completion of this service today, I begin it with a profound acknowledgement of gratitude. Just giving thanks for that creative source, that great mystery, that presence of creation that we call God, Spirit, life itself. And I give great thanks for the way in which it has continued to evolve through each and every one of us. Knowing that every person alive on this planet right now is infused with, born with this power of magic within them, this power of consciousness, choice, and creation. I recognize that on a soul level, on an infinite level, each of us has chosen to be here now at this time. And therefore, the greater thing that is revealing itself, what is moving through completion so that something great and new and more potent with the power of the truth of love of God and life, that energy is what is coming forth through each one of us. We have it within us, whether we've been aware of it or not. And I know that that power of creation, that power of love, sources us as we move into the next chapter, the next year, the next experience of life. And I know that this evolution of our consciousness is taking place through our agreement. And so together, we just acknowledge that the time has come for a greater expression of the truth of our collective wholeness and our power and the light that we are to reveal itself on this planet at this time. And so I give thanks for the way that this truth impresses upon the heart of each person hearing this prayer and everyone that they know, and on until it touches the hearts, the lives, the minds, and the experiences of every living thing That is the power that we have. That is the power of this prayer. And so I let go in the essence of and in that great energy of love and deep faith. And with humility and surrender and profound gratitude, I allow it to be. Welcome 2021. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Steph. What a beautiful and uplifting message. And I offer you an open invitation anytime that you feel moved to come back and join us. We would love to have you share any message anytime. So
Thank
thank
you, Gwen.
you
I
very,
love you.
very much. So magic happens. It's always happening. We invite you to continue to support the center in joy and celebration of all that is good. As we continue down a new path, a virtual path, we still need your support as we figure out exactly what we're doing and the direction we're going. So we appreciate so much your support and your tithing. There are several ways you can do this: by texting, by giving online, by giving by mail. If you do give by mail, we do have, and the slide is on the screen now, we have a new P.O. box that is checked a couple of times a week. So we appreciate your continued support. So as we continue looking for our new minister, if you know someone who might be interested in a good fit, please let us know. They can call us directly or leave a message on Google on our Facebook account. Please join us. We love to have everyone that can join us on Zoom to continue the conversation of what Steph talked about and to just connect. It's so nice to connect with faces and friends. So please join us if you can. The email address for Zoom is on the Friday reminder that comes out, also on Facebook. We are here to support you. We have our community care circle that would love if you have someone in need that would benefit from getting a call or a card or whatever. We would be so happy to help you and support you. Our practitioners are always willing to go into prayer for you. If you'll just call us or leave us a message, we'll be happy to do that for you because we really are here to support you. Well, the book club continues. The Book of Soul by Mark Nepo. It's every Tuesday night at 6:00 on Zoom. So you can see Sue's email address there. So if you need more information, I'm sure you can contact her and she'll get right back to you. And next Sunday, two of our favorite people. We've got such wonderful speakers. Joe Kovacs from St. George, or from Las Vegas, rather, will join us next Sunday. And then the following Sunday, Reverend Elijah. So we thank you for joining us. And we hope that you will say the closing affirmation with us. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all that I do.
I am it, I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is.
And just the way that it is becoming.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Life.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Join us on Zoom. Join us on Zoom.
See you again. Blessings.